As we both talk, I just think about what a different world it would be for our children if they could just be in their bodies, present in their bodies, using their bodies in all of the amazing ways they can without feeling as if they're always being watched and judged. A different world.
Oh, such a different world. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and before she came along, we had been doing this work for many years, and she kind of became a guinea pig for body image resilience. We've been talking for so long about how to raise kids in this world to help them be at home in their bodies for as long as possible. And I think about my own baby daughter who is now 9, and she has yet to say a negative thing about her body. She truly has an instrumental view of her body. And I know that at some point that will change. Even with a mom who's a body image expert, I live in a female body and I face objectification every day and I choose how to cope with it. I know that she will face that shame and pain too. But so far, Logan has been able to fight back against the objectification she hears at school from her best friend that says, "All I want is to be pretty." Logan comes home and tells me, "It hurt my heart so much that my friend said this. And this is what I said to her." She brought her these little stickers we have that say instrument, not ornament, and more than a body. And I just think about the fact that when Lindsay and I were 5, 6, 7, that I was looking down at my thighs in a reading circle in second grade and seeing that my thighs were bigger than all my friends and feeling such immense shame about it. And she has the same thighs and she hasn't gotten there yet. So my whole goal is to help her live as long as possible without picturing herself being looked at and operating according to her own worst fears about how other people might think about her and see her. And that's what we want for all parents. We'll talk about that here today, how to help them live inside their bodies.
Thank you. Lindsay, quick question for you before we jump into our mom's question. Lexie mentioned body image resilience. Can we just quickly chat about the difference between body positivity and body image resilience?
Sure. Yeah. Body positivity has become such a cultural buzzword, I feel like, and really came to the height of its popularity just in the last decade or so. It really wasn't a term before that. And it's a really well meaning response to the shame that so many girls and women feel. It's this attempt to counteract the really negative messages about women and our bodies in media. And that's coming off of the decade that I mentioned, those 90s, the early 2000s, where there was such a focus on thinness and real sexualization was rampant in media. It still continues to be in many ways. But body positivity is the response, the cultural response to say, girls and women feel bad about their bodies. And so instead, we're going to tell them that they are beautiful just the way they are and that their flaws make them beautiful. And you should love your body because of your flaws. And like I said, it's an attempt. It's not a great fix, but I think it was a band-aid, and it helps people start to think, okay, maybe we need to push back on these negative and unhealthy messages about bodies. But the reason I say it's an attempt is because it has kept the focus still on beauty. It's still putting that emphasis back on feeling beautiful as the key to having a positive mindset about yourself and to having high self-esteem. And we know that it simply is not. There are lots of women who might feel like they look beautiful and sexy one day, but they're still thinking all day long about how they look. And they're evaluating themselves through another person's eyes, how they might be seen. And when your self-esteem hinges on whether or not you think you're beautiful, regardless of how you look, then it can also be broken by that too. And everything in our culture is set up to tear women down a notch so that we will then go buy the products and follow the people and, take on the workout routines and the diets or whatever in order to fix that feeling of shame in ourselves. So body image resilience is our answer. And it's a little bit more methodical. Like I said, it's grounded in research on the fact that women do feel negatively about their bodies. We recognize this cycle where women are state of normal, and I'm talking about girls as well. The state of normal, we call it a state of normative discontent, where in our culture, it is perfectly normal and unquestioned just to feel baseline negative about your body, just to feel like, yeah, I'm pretty embarrassing and gross, and that's just the way it is. That's, the nature of being in my body. We don't question that. Unfortunately, a lot of people bond over that. It's an unquestioned state of normal. But in this objectifying environment, which we call the waters of objectification, because it's invisible, we're surrounded by it, we're swimming in it, then we are faced with these, what we call waves of disruption. There's always going to be something in our culture that will knock you down. You might be feeling okay. You're coping all right. Whatever, I don't like my body, but I'm going to survive the day and try to focus on other things. But there will be a wave that knocks you down, and it might be a negative comment from somebody. It might be comparing yourself to your sister-in-law or someone at school or at work who you think looks better than you and is getting more positive attention than you because of their looks. And it could be pregnancy, it could be miscarriage, anything that changes your relationship to your body or how you perceive your own body. We call that a wave of disruption. You have to respond to that. We found that women and girls tend to follow 3 different paths in responding to these waves of disruption. And the first one is to sink deeper into shame. Unfortunately, a lot of people will turn to really harmful negative coping mechanisms just to be able to survive. So a lot of people can relate to this through disordered eating, through abuse of prescription drugs, illegal drugs, alcohol, anything that would numb you in order to not have to feel that shame that you might be experiencing. The more common approach that people take is to simply cling to that comfort zone, to hide and to fix their bodies. So that's where we start turning to the new diet plans, the workout plans, the plans for cosmetic surgery, the makeup, the fashion, all of that kind of stuff tends to keep you in that comfort zone. Fine for the moment. I'm going to fix this through whatever means of control I can find, which is through buying things. It's consumerism, or it's through a new diet plan, whatever that might be. And we also hide. That's when we see girls opt out of PE class, of sports, of dance, of any type of physical activity. They stop raising their hands in class. This is when we are hiding ourselves just to cope with that feeling of shame that comes up through these waves of disruption all the time in our lives in big and small ways. Lexie and I identified this cycle and saw that we needed to find a path out. We could stay in that cycle forever. And unfortunately, body positivity sometimes keeps us in that cycle of putting a Band-Aid on it that says, no, you're beautiful. You're more beautiful than you think. Other people think you're beautiful, I swear. And for a second, we might think, all right, maybe I am prettier than I thought I was. And maybe my reflection is kind of lying to me right now. And we feel okay. But unfortunately, we're still in that comfort zone of self-objectification, feeling shame, and getting knocked over by those waves that will convince us that, no, actually, you're not as beautiful as you think you are. And the method out of this we saw is rising with body image resilience. And that is building up this skill set to be able to respond to those waves every single time, and to have the skills to be able to not just cope in the moment, but to build that skill set up and build the muscle so that you can respond and it becomes less detrimental, less jarring every time we are knocked over by one of those waves. It can become second nature to come back home to your body rather than splitting from yourself, watching yourself from the outside like a critical onlooker, like a twin looking at her identical twin thinking how disgusting she looks in those pants. I'm never going to wear those pants. We don't have to think that way. Instead, we can come back home to our bodies through a variety of skills and tools that we would love to talk more about today. But that's body image resilience, being able to come back to yourself instead of coping in all the ways that have harmed us forever.
I love it. And what I love about this approach is it's deep, right? So instead of just kind of like looking at the little surface and going like, you're okay. It's like, no, let's actually look at this and go deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why do you not feel okay? What can we do about that? There's so much more to it.
Okay, so on that note, let's get to this question and then let's dissect a little bit and see what ideas we can come up with. So I'll read it to you. So this came from one of the mamas who listened in and is on one of our social media channels. I came into my 13-year-old's bedroom the other day and she was crying. She was pulling at her stomach and kept saying over and over again that she hated her body. How did this happen to my little girl? She got her first phone last year and I feel like we have kind of lost her these past few months. I try not to talk about my own body stuff in front of her, but I know that she has seen me dieting over the years. I feel awful. Please help.
We can help. We know this pain. I can only imagine how that must feel as moms, as parents, as people who love these kids that understand the pain they're experiencing. That is heart-wrenching. So please know, first of all, we're with you. Oh, my heart goes out to you. Second, it's okay. You are asking the question. You are identifying the pain your daughter is feeling. That is such an amazing first step. Instead of just brushing it off, yeah, we all go through this. I went through this. She'll be fine. You are worried. Let's fix this. So first of all, what we want to do is encourage you to be honest with your daughter and be vulnerable with her. You have to start with your shared pain. And you don't have to tell her everything, but whatever you feel comfortable telling her, tell her about the pain you have felt in your body. and when it started. I have a feeling it probably started around the same age as your daughter is now. And that can be really triggering as a mom to see your daughter go through what you went through and you just begin to spiral. What is she going to go through? Media is so much more pervasive now than it was before. I can imagine how painful that must be. Instead, be honest with her about your pain, that she is not alone, that so many girls and women and all people experience pain and shame about how they feel about their bodies. But then we want to dig in. Let's help her figure out, where did these ideas come from? Because you weren't born with them. You didn't always have them. I remember seeing you just 2 weeks ago out there playing in the water or, playing softball with your friends, and you weren't worried. So what changed? Let's dig in. Let's ask some questions. Where did you get those ideas? Did it come from your phone? Did it come from what we're viewing? Let's take a look at what's on your For You page. What's coming up? What is your algorithm sending you? Because it knows that you are this age of a girl who is looking at social media. I want you to ask her, how do your friends talk about their bodies? Have you observed anything about me, about your teachers, about how they talk about their bodies that has caused you to think about yourself in the same way? Let's talk about it. Be honest and open, and encourage her to be honest and open. The other thing I would encourage you to ask is, what triggered this now? Why right now are you feeling this way? This is a feeling. This is not truth. Whatever you're feeling right now is just a feeling. It is not reality. So help her understand that this isn't actually about her body, because she's lived in this body the entire time she's been alive. But what is triggering her? And as you go through these questions and you're open and vulnerable and loving with her, helping her realize that there is nothing actually wrong with her, but that she has learned some information that is designed to harm her and to cause her to picture how she looks instead of living inside her body as her own. As you do that, you can help her to understand that changing her body in some way doesn't actually solve the problem. It doesn't help her. You can have her think about the people she's comparing herself to. What does she want to look like? Who is coming up as the people that she wishes she looked like? And then you can help her realize that even those people don't have all the things she thinks she'll gain by changing her body. Even the most ideally beautiful among us get cheated on, don't have boyfriends or girlfriends or love in their lives. People are mean to them and bully them. All the things that your daughter might think she'll gain by changing her body, she is not in control of. That it doesn't matter if she loses weight or changes her clothes or fixes her acne, that maybe the shame will just move to another part of her body and she'll continue to think about how she looks instead of living in her body. As you ask her these questions, you can help her understand a mantra. The mantra that we live by and that we teach to everyone is, my body is an instrument, not an ornament. Help your young daughter understand that her body is for her use and her experience. It is to live inside of. It is to breathe. It is to play. It is to hug, to talk to people, to connect and interact. Her body is her vehicle. It is her instrument to live and breathe and do and be all the things she can be in a world that really needs her.